Hello and a very warm welcome to Weekly Current Affairs. Today is Saturday. My name is Madhusudan Reddy and I'll be taking up the miscellaneous components of current affairs that have been figured out in various newspapers. As you all know, this is one such series where we come up with various different current affairs articles from Monday to Saturday, and we cover up almost all the articles that have been figured out in almost all the newspapers. So today I have come up to take up 4 different articles which have been figured out in the various newspapers. Firstly, let me tell you what are the articles that we are going to discuss. The first article that we will be discussing is GEAC, which has given the nod for commercial cultivation of the GM mustard, and a map based question which is based on the current affairs. There are a couple of regions in Myanmar that have been figured out in news. That is from the map point of view. And there's another article which has talked about the blue flags. There are 2 new blue flags which have come up. We are also going to discuss that. And the last article that we'll be taking up is the going green, the Tamil Nadu way of bringing up the climate change mechanisms. They have been fighting it very hard and they have went into such level to give up the Evergrande. That means they have taken up very sumoto initiatives. What are these sumoto initiatives? That is what we are going to discuss in detail now. So let's quickly jump to the first article. The first article, which is a Hindu newspaper published article. This Hindu newspaper published article says that the GEAC, that is Genetical Engineering Appraisal Committee, it has finally given a nod for the commercial cultivation of the GM mustard. Okay. Now let us try to understand where exactly is this syllabus fitting into. This article fits into the syllabus number 1. It is part of your paper 3. The syllabus is detailed here and you can look through. Firstly, let me tell you what is the issue about this Genetical Engineering Appraisal Committee when it has given a nod for GM mustard. See, mustard, they have given it for the genetically modified crop. So till date in India, there is no such food crop which has got the genetical modification nod. There is one such crop which has already had a nod and we are commercially cultivating it. That is your BT cotton. Yes, BT cotton is a genetically modified crop and now we have got the approval for GM mustard. See, this DMH mustard, which is also called as DMH11 mustard, why this committee has given approval for this mustard? For this, you need to understand little more background into the Indian economic aspects with respect to the edible oil. See, in India, on an annually, we produce near about 8.5 to 9 million tons of edible oil. Now, edible oil is nothing but those oils which we use it in for day-to-day cooking activities and which we use it for fooding habits, right? But on the other side, if you see, we import near about 14 to 14.5 million tons of edible oil. Now, this brings up to a huge trade balance deficit. At the same time, we also spend around 18 to 19 billion dollars in the last year we have spent for importing that oil. Instead, if we have a mechanism and we can produce more amount of oil, wouldn't that be good? Yes. This is what the angle which the government have thought, and finally there has been an approval that has given to this DMH mustard. And mustard is also one of the most edible oil. It is an alternative oil which is used in frying, panning and most of the fooding business, right? So in this article we have to understand the mechanisms that have been used in the DMH mustard. That means creating out the DMH mustard. Firstly, to have this understanding, you need to have a basic understanding about the flower and its parts. Okay. See, mustard, it is nothing a new news. ये काफ़ी टाइम से चर्चा में है. Near about 5 to 7 years, the GEAC committee has taken into consideration near about 2010 to 2012 से लेकर the चर्चा जो हो ही रहा है. But all of a sudden, how come this got a nod? And why it has taken so much of time? This is what you have to understand, right? Now, let me tell you some basics before we get into this topic. See, mustard is a topic. Mustard is one such flowering plant which has both male and female within the same flower, and it is a very ideal flower. And for you to understand the concept and mechanism behind the generation of the mustard, that is GM, you need to have some basic idea about the terms which you can see it on the board. See, in the newspaper articles you will come across the words like mustard is a transgenic production. It is a transgenic molecular productions which have been done in the mustard. Now what is this transgenic? See, transgenic is nothing but some outside genes have been used in the mustard flower or mustard plantation to give out a new yield. Now what is this new yield? It is nothing but your DMH11 mustard, which has been developed in the Delhi University by Deepak Pentil, the vice chancellor. He himself was part of this, right? Now you need to understand the meaning of transgenic and hybrid. Firstly, transgenic, the meaning here says that you have used the genes of outside in generating a new yield. Now hybrid can be you are using two different species or same species of two different organs, and now you get out some characteristics from this and some characteristics from the other, and you generate out something more better than the others, right? This is what is hybrid. In simple terms, you take A and B, you have A and you have B, you take some characteristics from A and some characteristics from B, cross them to get a new yield, that is C. This will be your hybrid. That means the characteristics of A is also there, characteristics of B is also there, right? This is your hybrid. Now what is transgenic? Transgenic is nothing but, for suppose you take out some bacteria, okay, example soil bacteria, from that bacteria you have taken out some genes, and that genes have been put into this plant, and what you have done is this plant will be crossed with another plant, and then a new yield is produced, right? This is called as transgenic. So your DMH mustard is one such transgenic crop. Now let me tell you how this DMH mustard has been generated. See, for this, let us go to some basics of your science which you have learnt in your schooling. See, every plant which has a flower of mustard, it has some basic elements: stamen, pistil and anther. Stamen is considered to be the male reproductive organ of the flower, and pistil is considered to be the female reproductive organ of a flower. So this mustard flowering plant, it has both stamen and pistil within the same flower. So it becomes very difficult for us to cross it. Okay? So the Delhi University team, what they have done is, they have taken two different varieties. One variety is Varuna. This is a variety of mustard which you will see in India, and the other variety is called as Eastern Europe. Eastern Europe variety. In this, what they have done is, suppose imagine this is your flowering plant, and in this flowering plant you have both male and female. So this male part and female organs, they have used some genes. The genes are Barnase, Barster and Bar genes. So these three genes, they have taken it out from soil bacteria. ठीक है, soil bacteria के अंदर से ये genes निकाल दिया, and these genes have been used onto this flowering plants. Now what is the use of these plants? There are some characteristics that are associated with this genes. See, Barnase is one such gene which hinders the male component and gives the male sterility. Now male sterility means the productive organ of a flower in the male, that will be cut down. So by this flower can no longer get pollinated by this self. Okay? Suppose you imagine there is a honeybee, that honeybee goes from male to female, then this flower gets fertilized, right? And this is the easiest way I can tell you. So instead what they have done is, they have cut this by using the gene called Barnase, and now this flower no longer can be self-pollinated. That means within the flower it cannot get pollinated. Suppose, imagine there is also another flower which is called as Eastern Europe, which is named as Hera. Okay, this is the Hera variety. What they have done is, they have, this plantation also has male and it also has female, right? Now they have cross-pollinated with the Eastern Europe plantations and the Varuna plantations, the Varuna type variation. So because of this, the characteristics of Eastern Europe and also the characteristics of Varuna together, you will get out a new yield product, that is DMH11, that is Dara mustard seeds, and for this the government has given a nod to go ahead and cultivate the DMH mustard. Right. Now with this they have also used some other genes. What are these genes? The genes are Barster. See, Barster is one such gene. You can ask me, someone who is logical enough, they can ask, sir, if at all a new product that has come out, that means this will also be a self-pollinating. In this there won't be any more male component which is present here. How come there can be a new generation of seeds that will come out from these plantations? So for that, what they have said is that they have taken out the male component from the Varuna plantations, but they have also introduced this gene called Barster gene. This Barster gene, what does it do? It gives the productivity to regenerate. Productivity to regenerate the characteristics of a normal flower. That means this flower will also have male and female component again when the new plantation comes out. So by this the yield in the DMH mustard will be more, and as comparatively they have also used another gene that is called as Bar gene. Bar gene, what does it do is, there are some plantations in the mustards, whenever that you start to grow the mustard, along with the mustard you will also get some weeds out, right? So when you start to spray that weedicide or weeds pesticides, along with the mustard plantations, the weeds also will die. So in order to differentiate this, they only wanted to kill the weeds and let the mustard plantations flowering. What they have done is they have introduced this Bar genes. This Bar gene has this peculiar activity which is present in the flowering plant itself. What does it do? It will be not getting impacted to the sprays that you start to spray onto these flowering plantations. Right. Now this is the mechanism that they have used, and this mechanism, it's been in use since last 5 to 6 years, but finally the government has given a go ahead to it. So with this go ahead, we now can commercially cultivate the DMH mustard. Along with this, you also need to have a brief idea onto the Genetical Engineering Appraisal Committee, the functions and the functionaries of this. See, let us quickly get into the functions of these body. Firstly, you need to understand the functions. The first function of the Genetical Engineering Appraisal Committee. Now what do you mean by appraisal? See, appraisal, the word itself means that to judge something, whether it is right or whether it is wrong. So this appraisal committee, the main function is to appraise the activities which are involving in large scale productions of biological components or into microorganisms, if any company is producing, or if they wanted to use them. This is the body which will generate, this is the body which will go into the micro analysis and tell you, is this harmful or not harmful, right? And the second function is to appraise proposals relating to the release of genetically engineered organisms and produce the products which can be released into the environment. In simple terms, they will also judge any product which needs to be modified there through genetical means, that also needs the approval of this committee, right? And lastly, let us quickly read this. The committee or any person authorized by it has powers to take punitive actions under the Environmental Protection Act. See, this committee also has that powers to punish someone if they have done some kind of wrong entities, right? Now let me tell you the genesis of this committee. See, back in 1986 we had Environmental Protection Act. We bought this Environmental Protection Act in 1986, and with this we also bought the Ministry of Environment and Forest, and today it is along with climate change. Under this you have a committee named Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee. So this Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee is the highest body which is present under the ministry, and they will deal with any kind of genetic modification plantations, right? Now along with this, at the international level we have also signed a biosafety protocol. Okay. This biosafety protocol is also called as Cartagena. ये कार्टेजिना प्रोटोकॉल एक ऐसी प्रोटोकॉल है whenever you are transferring some elements of transboundary biosafety भी चेक करना चाहिए, ठीक है. That biosafety protocol which tells that if you started to give any kind of product which is genetically modified, you also need to take into considerations that are protections associated with it, ठीक है, the harmful effects associated with it. So biosafety is also very much important. Now there are some criticisms, is this genetically modified plantations, is it good or is it bad, can we go for this or can we not go for this? Before this, let me tell you some important facts across the world. See, genetic engineering or genetically modified plantations are nothing new to us. India has only one plantation, that is your cotton, ठीक है. Along with India, there are most of the Asian countries and African countries, they did not go for the genetically modified plantation crops because the fear is always there, because we did not had enough research time period to look into these products. But on the other side, look into US. The US has many plantations which are already given nod for the genetically modified crops, be it maize, be it rice, be it wheat or any kind of vegetables. Along with Canada also, and when it goes to Latin America also, there are many plantations, chickpea plantations, and Uruguay has both chickpea as well as corn plantations. But see here, the Delhi University argument is that there are billions of tons of foods which have already been into market and they have been consumed. There is enough research data, they say that nothing is major changes that you are going to get to see. But on the other side, there is counterproductive argument saying that if at all the DMH mustard is given a nod, it is said that there is some changes that are going to see in the honeybees. Now why honeybees? Why is that change in the honeybees? Here you need to understand that honeybees are the ones which will be transporting the nectar, or while collecting their nectar, it goes from flower to flower and it takes that anther के ऊपर जो products है, it start to take that pollen and pollen is transferred. In the meanwhile, the honeybee is one such element which gets exposed to this genetically modified organisms, and it is the first product in the food chain which will be impacting. So because of this, it is said that there can be changes in the honeybee, and honeybee changes can lead to the other food chain cycles also. Right, there is both counterproductive and productive arguments. In this, what we have to take is, for the examination point of view, we have to learn about what is cross pollination, what is self pollination. Cross pollination and self pollination is nothing but, if at all a single flower, within the flower there is male and there is also female. The pollination happens within the flower because of a honeybee which goes from male to female, then that is called as self pollination. Cross pollination is nothing but from one flower to another flower. This is called as cross pollination. The differences I have listed here, you can simply go through it. There is not much of big rocket science. And for this PDF, you can come to the Raj Malhotra IAS Telegram channel, that will be available there. And lastly, when you have to write the answers, you need to know about few points, both for the arguments and for the against the arguments. See, arguments for the GM crops, they say that can address the challenges of the food security. Of course, they can definitely address the food security. Look into the cotton. Cotton is already addressing the food security programs through various means. Now you might ask me, how is cotton producing the food security addressing the food security programs? See, cotton, it doesn't mean that the BT cotton which is used, it is only for commercial production. Cotton के अंदर जो seeds है, that seeds are used for the cow feed along with animal feed. It's been already many years that we have been using this BT cotton. So BT cotton ka seeds, they have been utilized by they have been feed to the cows and various animals. They are still the same. But on the other side, the arguments are that it is not just 5 years or 10 years, it takes generations to understand the changing dynamics of the genetically modified crops, right? Now see, on the other side, arguments against the genetically modified crops says that can cause long-term consequences on human health. Of course, there is not much of enough study at the time period, but we have to only wait and see if there are any changes, right? Now, the counter argument is that there can't be any changes in the food or genetical modifications, because recently there is a research that has come up said that if at all you are using the edible oil like mustard oil के अंदर you do not have any proteins. Even if there are proteins, the proteins will be broken out when they are heated up. It is only fats, it is only some kind of other soluble fats which are present in that oil. So that is not going to impact your genetically modify or any changes into your DNA. It will only hardly impact the surface of your genetics. Okay? That is what the argument says. Now next, it says that high yielding and very high income can be yielded. Yes, of course, the proof here is that we went for the high yielding crops through the green revolution. Today India is a food secure. On the other side, as they are self-replicating organisms, thus cause genetic contamination of the environment, right? So this also we have to wait and see. On the other side, it says that reduced use of pesticides and herbicides, thus protecting the environment. Yes, see, the DMH mustard has a bar gene. That bar gene is resistant to the herbs, matlab weeds. So suppose if you start to spray something, the weeds will die, but the mustard will be still fresh. That is because of the presence of this bar gene. On the other side, the commentary is that if suppose you take out that weeds, that means no longer the labor that is employed in taking out that weeds, it will not, they will be losing their day-to-day employment. Yes, right. So, and quickly, India's climate specific crops can be made. Yes, of course it can be made. On the other side, complete consequences of the GM crops are not yet known. We have to wait and see. The case studies of BT cotton are already there. There are also some mixed responses here. While writing an answer, we should always be having a balanced opinion that we should go for, or we should be looking forward for genetically modifying crops, because already other parts of the world they have been through and there is enough scientific evidence. While quoting the research of the Delhi University, you can conclude the answers, if at all you have any answers, right? Now next article, which is regarding the Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu says that they wanted to go green. While going green, they have really went a step ahead. They have taken Sumoto. In this Sumoto, they went even to Avantigrade. Avantigrade in simple terms means that they have taken unorthodox steps in dealing with the climate change. So firstly, what they have done, what is this policy, what is exactly they have introduced into their government programs. Let me list out. Firstly, what they have done is the Tamil Nadu government said that Ramsar sites काफी सारे चीजें declare किया गया. Secondly, they also said they are going to create 100 village parks and which are going to help the community of the village. Along with that, they also said that elephant reserve Agastyamalai में produce करेंगे and Dugong Sea Cow Conservation Park हम लेके आने वाले हैं. The new bird sanctuary at Tirupur is also being set up. And lastly, they wanted to establish a particular sanctuary for the Dindugal for sender lorries. इतने सारे in a very short period of time. How did all this happen? See, back around 6 to 7 years before, they have come up with a planning. That planning has come up into a visionary program and action plan last couple of years before. The planning has the list of events which need to be done. They said that they are going to bring up a separate committee. That committee is that it is a governing council of the climate change. This governing council of the climate change is one such council which gives policy directions also. It also gives the climate adaptation and mitigation programs. See, climate adaptation and mitigation, I have given you a list here. This adaptation and mitigation programs are simple. Mitigation means reducing the impact of the change. Adaptation means you are tending to live with that change. In simple terms, mitigation program is a program where if you use some electric vehicles, solar and all, you are trying to reduce the impact of the climate change. On the other side, if you start to use some umbrellas and protect yourself from the rain, this is an adaptative technique. So similar kind of techniques, if you are using into the climate change, that is your mitigation and adaptation strategies. So the government of Tamil Nadu has went in for all of these aspects. Along with this governing council, it also gave a state action plan. That state action plan has led to the development of all of this which I have listed, right? And nextly, it also provides strategy and implementation. Now, to this, you need to appreciate that this governing council has members like Montek Singh Ahluwalia, Nandan Nilekani. These are very big famous persons who have worked for the Planning Commission and they have also worked for the changes into the environmental climatic change protection mechanisms. They have both ideas in monetary aspects as well as environmental aspects. Because of this, the generation and the amalgamy or the bonhomie of the climate change programs can be seen clearly here. And nextly, the Tamil Nadu government also went up for setting up a green climate fund. Okay. Along with that, they also went in for special purpose vehicles which is meant for Tamil Nadu Green Company. अलग से एक तमिलनाडु ग्रीन कंपनी नाम से they started this special purpose vehicle. That special purpose vehicle is meant for addressing the climate change, Tamil Nadu Green, as well as wetlands. These wetlands have resulted into the generation of new Ramsar sites. So here you need to appreciate this article. Why? This is one such case study you can write in your answers. Preliminary examination point of view, or solutions, way forward, conclusions that can be added here. And let me quickly list out all the bird sanctuaries that have been given in the Ramsar sites. One, Tamil Nadu mein, it is Vembandur Lake and Gulf of Meran Biosphere Reserve bhi hai, Kodaikanal Wildlife Sanctuary bhi hai, and Pichavaram Mangroves and Vellode Bird Sanctuary bhi hai. Along with that, this is Udayamantaram Bird Sanctuary. It is Udaya Marantandapuram. It is very difficult to pronounce, but these kind of names can be easily eliminated in your preliminary examinations. And Karikali Bird Sanctuary, right? So very difficult, but a technique here is Tamil language, the etymology is something different. When you have this learning etymology, Tamil se hai ya South se hai, you can eliminate through the elimination methods, right? And nextly, there is a map related article which has been in news, that is recent times mein Chin state and Sangin region, these two are in news for the atrocities that are being taking place in the Myanmar. So they also have the borders with Mizoram and Manipur, because of which the migration is in towards India. So इसीलिए UPSC examination के लिए ये map काफ़ी important होता है. So let us quickly see. Manipur is having border with both Sangin division as well as the Chin state. Mizoram, it has borders with Chin state. So the migration here is outward. Because of this outward migration, people from the Sangin division as well as Chin state, they are entering into our Mizoram and Manipur. So across the Mizoram and Manipur, their boundary line is that people can move from here to here up till 20 odd kilometers. So this is not a clear-cut boundary, because of which the migration is there, and there is also trespassing. The refugees started to flow towards India. So now we have a big burden to taking care of this area. So ये mapping point of view से important हो सकता है, that is your Chin state and Sangin divisions, where are they found. And lastly, the article which has been figured out in the news is blue flag system. See, this article we have discussed many number of times. We'll also be providing you the link regarding this. See, there are two different beaches which have already got the blue flag certification. Blue flag certification is nothing but, if you are getting a blue flag certification, then it is clearly understood that that beach is very clean and that beach is meeting the standards of international certifications, right? And list of the blue flag certifications, let me quickly read out what are these, and these can be asked in your preliminary examination. Starting from Gujarat, it is in Shivapur, it is here, it is Dwarka, Gujarat area. Second one, it is in the Gogla DU. Third one, it is in the Karnataka, and Kappad, it is Kerala. Now the new entries are from Lakshadweep, that is Tundi beach and Kadmat beach. So this is what it is for today. And the quickly facts, that is blue flag certification has a jury. The jury is nothing but 4 different organizations, that is United Nations Environment Program, United Nations World Tourism Organization also, and the FEE. This is Foundation for Environment Education. This Foundation of Environment Education is the one primary entity which has started to give this blue flag certifications back in 1989 itself. ठीक है, 85 and 89, right? And there are uses 4 different parameters. That 4 different parameters has 33 sub parameters. The major divisions are your environmental education कितना है, bathing का water quality क्या है, environmental management how are they doing, along lastly it is also the conservation and safety services of the beaches. That means beach clean है कि नहीं, if it is clean, how clean they are, if the water is good or bad. If the water is bad, they are not going to give you this certification. So the largest number of blue flag certification beaches are present in Spain. All over the world there are 4,000. India is just having 12, and 2 out of 12 2 has been given only couple of days back. That's it for today, guys. I hope we have added some value to your preparation. If you also do think so, please press that like button, and please let me know if you want me to cover any topic that have been figured out in the past 1 week. I'll be coming up with those topics in the next week as well. And this is one such session. The chances of preliminary examination questions being figured out in your exam is very, very high. So stay tuned for this session. We will be coming up with more relevant articles and more enhancing content every Saturday. Thank you guys, and see you.